Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to World Championship Wrestling. Before we see the world's strongest man in action, let's hear these comments from the Skyscrapers.
Tomorrow night, it's where America said it couldn't be done. Well, I'm going to show America and I'm going to show the world that the Road Warriors are going to go down in defeat, and they're going to pack their bags and they're going to catch that interstate, whatever number it is, and head on back to Chicago and start picking up garbage or working for the city or doing whatever it takes to keep them eating, all right? Because Chicago street fight tomorrow night, Road Warriors, I'm going to make sure that your brains are beat in till your head looks like a can of sauerkraut. Tell them, Mark.
Road Warriors, we're going to stomp mud holes in you and we're going to walk them dry just like we did in Corpus Christi.
Yeah!
Tomorrow night, boys, you're going to fall like you ain't ever fell before because the 90s belong to the Skyscrapers. And Theodore, brother, we're going to make you something proud.
Whoa!
Road Warriors, move aside because the Scrapers are here and we're here to stay.
Testify!
You're going down tomorrow night, believe me.
Yeah!
We had, say what? A whole lot of superstars on this stage here tonight. But I want y'all to know one thing. This is my house. And when I say who's house,
word attack skills and vocabulary too. Cover hits in this edition, it's all brand new. You're through. I'm interplanetary like Doctor Who. So who?
Fuck your beef, no relief. I step on stage, girls scream like I'm Keith.
Good morning, evening, whatever time you're going to pick up this show. Everybody, we are back at it. It is Ring Time Pro Wrestling at it again. Keith is riding solo one more time. Just here to record some good wrestling talk, get you up to date what's going on in the wonderful world of professional wrestling. This week, we don't have a pay-per-view to recap or a preview. It is just what's going on in the current state of the business. So, of course, without further ado, we're going to break this down. We're going to have some WWE. We're going to have some news. We'll probably talk a little New Japan as they are gearing up for the G1 Climax tournament. And let's see what's going on out there in the world. So, without further ado, let's get to breaking down the WWE. Raw was Monday. This is kind of weird. We all know Roman Reigns is suspended for 30 days. But I guess we're gonna act like he's still gonna be in the main event of the pay-per-view, and nobody has made a move to take him off of any advertising, which is very weird. I thought Seth Rollins did a good job Monday night shooting the proverbial elephant in the room, basically by discussing the Roman Reigns incident instead of just acting like it's not happening and it's happening in a vacuum. Now, with that being said, Dean came down and talked and said, hey, as far as I know, Roman's still in the match. AJ Styles decided he wanted to interject himself. Then John Cena decided he wanted to interject himself. So Stephanie McMahon came and she gave the opportunity to those guys to win and get in. We could have had a possible fatal 5-way, which would have been a fatal 4-way because Roman's not going to be there. I mean, I don't understand how we're going to do this or when they're going to announce the decision. I mean, because if he does wrestle at the pay-per-view, wrestle in the main event, it doesn't take a pretty good mathematician to know that's under 30 days. Like, I think from the time they announced the suspension, which has got to be when it goes into effect, it would put him eligible to come back for the draft at best. Because you got to think about it. He wrestled Monday night. So you can't have a guy who, I know he probably tested positive prior to the pay-per-view, and that was one of the reasons why he took the belt off of it, per se, but his suspension can't start until after he stopped wrestling. Like, you can't say he's suspended and he still wrestles 2 shows. So I'm assuming that, I mean, if you're going to have any credibility for your policy. Now, mind you, the WWE is not a professional sports league. It's not basketball. It's not baseball. So they're not violating anything from the Players Union or anything like that by doing this. I mean, they are a company that is publicly traded but still privately owned. They can do what they want to do, and they can enforce this how they want to enforce it. So if 30 days comes out to be more like 25, I mean, that's them doing their own math, and you can't really, whatever cockamamie excuse they come up with, you can't really dispute it. I think it looks bad in the public space, especially since now in 2016, how we're supposed to take a hardline stance against things like whatever he took. Like, there's speculation on what he took. Nobody really knows, right? But whether it's a street drug, whether it is a PED, whatever it is, it popped the test. And you got to have some credibility. I understand top stars don't always get popped, but when they do, they more than anybody have to adhere to whatever the guidelines are. Like, hey, if a mid-card guy came back a few days early, nobody probably paid that much attention. But people are going to be watching out for Roman Reigns, and they are counting the days. So I think as a PR standpoint, the WWE might want to make sure that they play this right. I mean, you're not losing a lot. Him being out 30 days. Also, I don't like I said, I don't know the circumstances of his positive tests, but I'd really consider, if this is going to be the face going forward, that he makes sure he stays out of situations like this and make him understand how important being a main event level guy is, and the responsibilities that come along with that. Because at minimum, he ingested something in his body that he did not fully research. At minimum, right? Because he could have took an over the counter thing for a cold or something, and it caused a positive test. That happens all the time. The thing I would say is, make sure you do a little bit more research, because your body is something that you use to make money, and you want to make sure that you are not putting yourself in those kind of positions. That's what we tell all the other athletes, right? So I think this needs to bode same for professional wrestling. But, like I said, Monday, Rollins shot the proverbial elephant in the room. He pretty much came up with his idea that it should be a one-on-one match, which I think we will get to eventually. I'm just not understanding why we haven't pulled the trigger yet. I watched a pretty good women's match. Paige and Sasha Banks took on Charlotte and Dana Brooke. Sasha looked good, scoring a big win with the Banks statement. I think she's been gone for TV for so long, but she has been working those house shows. I think the idea was they kept her off for storyline purposes. I don't know what that means, or if they just didn't want to give her something. Here's the thing. There's not a lot of women's match time on television, even with 5 hours of active television during a week. I mean, just like now we're doing 2 women's matches in the same show, and that's a big deal, right? Mind you, we have a 3-hour block for Raw. You probably could get 3 matches in if you really were dedicated to it. And that's probably would be the amount you need to tell the active stories, where you have an situation like Natty and Becky Lynch, which is away from the world title, but still, kind of in that lane. And you can keep people fresh and keep people out in front of the camera. It's a lot of women that I'm like, okay, do they still work here? And you won't see them, and you won't see, like, when's the last time you seen Tamina? When's the last time you seen Naomi? You get a glimpse of Summer Rae every now and then. I mean, Paige was off the market for a long time. It's like, if you're not involved in the active feud, hey man, that's it for your TV time. And I don't know how good that is. Where's Alicia Fox? Like, there's people who's on the roster they can be getting some mileage out of. I think at the end of the day, when we do this brand split, they need to dedicate one show to having women. Raw is an easy fix for me because Raw has the most time. So when you separate those SmackDown wrestlers, you try to fill that time gap. I think that would be one of the things that we would do on Raw, especially in my head, because I would have tag teams over on SmackDown. But that's neither here nor there. I think the women's division is deep enough and strong enough where you can have tag titles, and possibly with the cruiserweight show and the influx of cruiserweights I don't know what they're planning to do after the tournament, but I put together a show. Look, man, y'all dominate Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. There is no reason why Wednesday after NXT you can't have an hour-long show that features cruiserweights and women. it'd be so simple and easy, right? Dan, because I don't think you need to add another day of the week. I think you got the front part of the week. You got the best days. Monday, you'll only compete with Monday Night Football, which is a 16-week proposition for the year. Tuesday, there's pretty much nothing, right? The NBA will be back at some point, but I don't know how much those fans cross-stream. Wednesday, same thing. So, for the most part, you got free run. And there are days that people, I think, are traditionally conditioned to watch wrestling. So, I mean, that's just an idea I think that somebody needs to explore and think about. Titus O'Neil defeated Rusev by a count-out. This is like his second straight count-out victory over the Bulgarian Brute. I thought this one, though, allowed both of them to look strong. It was very competitive. It was very brutal. It's obvious that there's a score to settle, especially for the Titus. And the way he worked out with Rusev this week, I thought looked good for both of them. And it made me interested in a big match down the line. Where I think after they embarrassed Titus at the pay-per-view, I really wasn't interested in what this thing had to offer afterward. But now I'm slowly coming back on board and interested to see who and what they'll do with this. All right, but going on from that, pretty much just in case you didn't know, we talked about earlier where Cena and AJ Styles had a chance to enter the world title match. That did not happen. Both of them lost their matches. Pretty much each one cost each other their match. So that was null and void. So we're back to the original main event for the pay-per-view. And, of course, Cena and AJ will still have their match. Because, I mean, you wouldn't want to lose a whole pay-per-view match, would you? Okay. It's kind of predictable. But, hey, work a dream. Enzo and Cass got a nice squash win. And then they got to beat up the Social Outcast afterwards. So that's always fun. I thought the highlight reel segment was really good with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Even though I know some people are probably tired of their story, I think it did a good job selling people who are unfamiliar with their saga. And hey, man, real talk, I like the fact that, hey, every level they've been on in wrestling, they've had this fight. So they've followed each other all over the world, promotion to promotion, and had this fight. They were friends at one point, and they had this fight. They may go back to being friends, but they got to keep having this fight. It is a long-term feud that spans years and companies and characters. You can't beat that, right? So I appreciate that. I thought Jericho added something with the highlight reel, and of course, he was obnoxious, and he's so obnoxious he even gave them something to agree on. So, you know, hey, that works out. Becky Lynch and Natalya are working out, had a good match. Kane versus Miz was kind of weird. It was good to see Kane in the building. I guess Miz is back after finishing the Marine 5. Like, man, what are they doing to that franchise? So the Miz has had the last 3 Marine movies. If you go by, Cena had the first one, which I think was probably still my favorite. I really like the Ted DiBiase Marine, though. Like, I think that one was more cerebral. Where the Cena Marine was real brute force action, right? Like traditional action movie, traditional impossible white man. Just gotta do it. Ted's was a little more tactical spy kind of thing. He just happened to be in the right place at the right time, and he had to go get his girl. Miz, I haven't really watched the Miz Marines, which is something I'm going to do. So, Marine 3 is him by himself. Marine 4 is him and Summer Rae. And I think 5 is him and Mae Reese. So, we'll see how it all works out. I can't front that I really, really care. But, you know, it happens. The New Day and Wyatt feud is going to be kind of weird. And they continue down this road where Bray Wyatt seems to have Xavier Woods befuddled. Like Xavier Woods loses his mojo every time Bray Wyatt starts talking, and he kind of goes into a trance. Somehow, I think this is going to lead to one, the Wyatts might take the belts, and possibly the New Day, the composition of the New Day changing. Whether they break up altogether, or maybe Xavier ends up off, I don't know. Or maybe Xavier ends off in a trance with the Wyatt family, and the New Day wins him back with the power of positivity. I don't know. I hope that isn't how it ends, because I don't think the Wyatts can take another setback. And also, I'm not here for it to get really, really weird in wrestling. Overall, my grade of Raw is probably like a C+. Like, it wasn't bad, it wasn't good. It's just like we kind of ran in place. We just kind of held the spot, right? When we got to the next week, that's what that show was like for me. We got to do something. We got to get to the next week, and then we'll figure it all out from there. Because the closer they get to the pay-per-view is where they can really dig their feet in, sell the pay-per-view, sell the matches, and then bam, we are rolling down to SummerSlam. And that is the important thing. Like, we got to set SummerSlam up because it's the, number 2 pay-per-view in the company. Like, I think with SummerSlam, they still do like access, and they do a few things before the day before. Like, they take over the tower wherever they go. So it's about the second most important thing to WrestleMania. So I'll see how the setup goes. Right now, you can't really see it, right? But we'll have a draft, which will help, because now we're trying to establish some champions and establish a pecking order on the SmackDown brand, and that will probably make up for some very interesting matches at SummerSlam. So with that, I'm going to hit for our first break, and we'll come back. This is going to be a really short show, and we'll be back. Peace.
So I imagine New York City still as dirty and rotten and disgusting as it's always been. They hate me there, Arn. Ever since I took Bruno Sammartino and pounded him into retirement, they have hailed me as the legend. Well, I'll tell you some Halloween havoc. We're going in against the Patriots, Chip and Todd. Chip is going to be dressed, I hear, as a human fire hydrant, while Todd Champion is wearing the costume of a piece of shrubbery from the desert. Us, my friends, are going as you see us, as the last 2 real men on the face of the planet.
Do you ever wonder why all the other teams are wallowing in mediocrity? They're trying to figure out who can get the most flowers, the most boas wrapped around their neck, can play a trumpet, come into the ring. Anything to get someone's attention. Well, we figured out one way to shine. We don't need glitter. We don't need fancy robes, fancy tights. That is to go to every arena, and especially in a violent city like New York, and just simply beat whoever comes out the other curtain. That's why we're the World Tag Team Champions. That's why we stand alone in this sport. So New York City, understand one thing: when we come your way, you are looking at the very best.
All right, everybody, we are back on the other end. It is our birthday segment. Birthdays this week. Yesterday was the 30th, and it was loaded. Alicia Fox celebrated her birthday yesterday. The great Alicia Fox is 30. Cody Rhodes turned 31. Terry Funk out there still cracking heads at 72. And Scott Dawson turned 32 yesterday. And that is the birthdays for yesterday. So a lot going on yesterday on June 30th. Tomorrow is July 2nd. And one retired Scotty Too Hottie is celebrating a birthday. Scotty is also a fireman these days. And the great Hall of Famer Bret Hart also celebrates his birthday tomorrow on July 2nd. And that is it for the birthdays. Actually, 6 very important and meaningful birthdays. You don't really get that a lot in the birthday segment. Let's go to news. The news for the week. Brock Lesnar will get the cover of the new 2K17 WWE game cover. huge news for both. I think Brock is the perfect choice. I think Brock is probably one of the better faces of the company. He's a guy who hasn't lost recently. His last match was WrestleMania, where he beat Dean Ambrose, who just happens to be the current WWE champion. With him competing at UFC 200, which is probably their biggest event that they're going to have for a while. You got him competing there. Then he'll be at SummerSlam. I mean, I think the press for him is going to be great. And cashing in on that momentum and then him being on the cover of the game, I think is a stroke of genius. And I would definitely try to get in on that. So that is going on. The WWE developed a partnership with the Special Olympics. They've always worked with them, but now I guess they extended their partnership. Cody Rhodes is in the news for a few things. One, he announces an 8-city UK tour that he's going on, where he's going to go around and wrestle and hit different events and different indie events over there in the UK. And make some cash over there. Also, word on the street is he's going to get a Legends deal with the WWE. I guess the dust is settled, and that breakup that was so bad a few months ago or a month ago, now it's kind of eased up a little bit. And well, really one of the main reasons the WWE signed the Legends deal with Cody is, one, it'll keep him out of TNA, I'm going to assume. Also, I think they like with the Legends deal is that they can use them in one-offs and they can still sell the merch. Because I'm pretty sure the Stardust merch and stuff like that was probably moving steadily still. So, he still can sell some merch over there. You know what I mean? It may not be for the 25 or, you know what I mean, whatever. But, hey, man, if you move some T-shirts at $15 or whatever, it's good for him to get his royalties, and it's good for the WWE to still, you know, be able to do business. So, shouts out to them. Good job on that front. On some good news in the wrestling world, Hideo Itami has returned to action in NXT. He showed up at a live event in Winter Park, Florida tonight, teaming with TM61 against Samoa Joe, Tito Sabatelli, and Wesley Blake. Itami been out since May of 2015, so hey man, it is great to see him back, and hopefully he can start contributing to the roster again and have some good matches down there at NXT before he gets called up. Which they may speed up because, you know, people don't want to waste prime years in the developmental brand. So we'll see how quick they get Itami up there to, you know, knock some people out. In other news, fans, if you are looking for other avenues to live stream Raw or SmackDown, just say you're not at home and you will not be able to see your favorite wrestling, but you're at work or something like that and you got a tablet or something like that. Well, here you go. Hulu is adding live TV service in 2016 that would include the USA Network. You could also stream live. I got Xfinity and they have a live app and I can stream USA Network live. The USA Network app usually allows you to stream live. If you got Uverse, I'm pretty sure you can live stream the USA Network. But other avenues are also coming up with this. Sling TV has added NBC and the BBC family of channels to their Sling Blue service, which includes the USA Network because it's part of the NBC family. It's kind of funny because I think Hulu has a thing with NBC and somehow they are not doing this till 2017. But that's probably where the live service actually goes live as a whole for Hulu. But with Sling TV, also, the El Rey Network, which broadcasts Lucha Underground, will also be available with that package. I got a link with a list of channels for the Sling TV. And I can tell you what's going on. Yeah, it's the Sling Orange package. It's $20 a month. And you get ESPN, CNN, AMC, Comedy Central, Cartoon Network, the History Channel, Disney, TNT, TBS, BBC America, IFC, Adult Swim, Lifetime, Viceland, which hey man, if you haven't checked out Viceland, check out Viceland. It's a channel ran by Vice. Got some really good shows on it. All different kinds of stuff going on all over the world that they talk about and tackle and show you. And It's raw. It's not for the kids. You probably want to send Junior upstairs when you go watch Viceland. But neither here nor there. But yeah, they got the different packages. And this is Sling Orange. I'm sorry. Sling Blue is $25. And that is the one that has all the stuff that you want with the wrestling, with the El Rey Network. And that show has Fox Sports 1, Fox Sports 2. I didn't even know there was a Fox Sports 2. FX, they got Fox. They still have Viceland. They got Newsy. So, just another way for you to stream some product that you may or may not get a chance to see when you are not at the crib. Big news for Lucha Underground. This week's airing on the El Rey Network drew 116,000 viewers estimated, up from 104,000 viewers. The show did not rank in the cable's 100 top 50 for the 5th week in a row. The replay drew 103,000, making a total for the week 219,000, up 166,000. Now, these may sound like minuscule numbers, but you got to ask yourself, how many people have the El Rey Network? It is not the most widely distributed network. I think one thing for Lucha Underground, if it was to grow, is going to have to find a TV partner that has a little bit more distribution. I consider maybe seeing if Spike is interested. I consider, would it be a Lucha product? I thought they were trying to work out something with Univision or Telemundo. I'm not sure, but that is another route that they may want to consider. But I get El Rey is a flagship show, and I think they, because this is the networks first started. They started out with this, and they want it to grow with the network. El Rey is usually like on the, I would say top tier of your cable package, but it's one of those like you got to make sure you have the cable package with like the 300 channels. Like if you just got like the 150, you probably not gonna have El Rey. So you got to make sure you get that package. And I'm not sure if it's always available in HD. For me, my El Rey comes in my list of like Spanish channels. So I'm not even sure if those are broadcast in HD because there's like that's a whole other package you got to get with my cable. I'm not sure how, because everybody got different cable companies with different packages in different regions. But 219,000 viewers isn't bad for them when you think about the distribution, right? Because that's one of those things is like TNA numbers are relative to where they're at. They drew a lot more people on Spike. When they were on Destination America, it was like, Pop TV, they're probably getting back towards where they, not near Spike numbers, but definitely above Destination America. ROH is kind of hard to track because it's like a syndicated program that's kind of scattered all over the place. So you don't have that one-stop shop to, for everybody to come to at one time. Also, Lucha Underground being on Wednesday night really loads up the wrestling calendar. Like, you got to figure out how you go budget and watch your wrestling. Like, what do you DVR? What do you watch on demand later? I mean, think about it. Tuesday night for TNA, I feel bad for them. But, I mean, hardcore TNA fans are going to watch. Yeah, believe it or not, there's some wrestling fans who like TNA that really don't rock with the WWE all that well. Even though with SmackDown being new and being part of a brand extension where we're going to start getting fresh matchups and we're trying to build a brand, therefore we're going to try to establish a pecking order and a title seed, I think that's going to be so interesting to begin with that it is going to drown out a lot that's going on Tuesday night. So, neither here nor there, but remains to be seen. But just something interesting I thought I'd throw in. Well, and earlier we spoke about the Roman Reigns suspension. So, yes, Roman will be at the pay-per-view. Matter of fact, Roman will return the night before the pay-per-view. He will not return to television until the pay-per-view, but the night before the pay-per-view at a live event, Roman Reigns is scheduled July 24th at a live event at Wildwoods, New Jersey at the Wildwoods Convention Center. So, hey man, Roman kind of circumventing the process here. Because Money in the Bank, if I want to check, was, you know what, hold on one second. I can tell you the date for Money in the Bank. Well, you know what, I'm wrong. Money in the Bank was June 19th. So if Money in the Bank is June 19th, right? He wrestled Raw on June 20th. June 21st is the day of the suspension. If the pay-per-view is on July 25th, looks like he's clear. Yeah, look like he's clear. Okay, yeah. So the press release I'm reading is wrong. That's the thing. He will return on the 23rd, and Battleground pay-per-view is on the 24th. Either way, still in the clear. 2 days after the suspension. So, yeah, I was wrong earlier. Roman will be ready. They are not circumventing the process. They are actually smart. They're not going to ruin the main event of a pay-per-view. And what they're going to do is they're going to sell that pay-per-view, still with all three members of the Shield facing off in there for the title. I don't think Roman wins. That would be screwed. Like if Roman wins the title at Battleground, he has to turn heel. That is the only way possible. You cannot have a guy return from suspension and win the title and not turn heel. Because that definitely sends all wrong. It sends all wrong messages that he's wrestling in the main event anyway, because that says y'all really didn't care about this policy. This ain't no punishment. And hey, depending on who you are on the roster, all fair, right? All fair. Now, if he was a little bit down further on the total poll, hey, you out of there. You gotta work your way back up. But hey, we'll see how it all turns out. That gives you some star power, and he'll be ready for Raw, and they'll be ready for the draft. Well, the draft is actually before the pay-per-view, so he will not be at the draft. But that is also a good draw for whichever show drafts him. Hypothetically, I'm pretty sure Roman stays at Raw. That's the kind of talent that's going to stay at Raw. But if I was drafted, and let's say I drafted to SmackDown, the fact that he's not going to be at SmackDown for the draft gives you some anticipation going to the next week, because the next week is like, whoa, we finally get to see him on the network TV. So I think it works out. But you still you had anticipation on Raw, but it won't be the same, right? Because, see, Raw, everybody who's at Raw they're just staying at Raw, right? SmackDown is the one where it's like, oh, these guys are now exclusive to just us. We haven't had exclusive guys in a long time. And that, to me, seems a little more special. Raw is just like, oh, we didn't get asked to leave. That's all that kind of seems like to me. But that's just how I look at it. On from the news. Just for the last part of the show, pretty much. I'm just going to kick around some things. Pretty much right now, what am I watching? I'm on the WWE Network. I decided I'm going to actually pick a year and do something. So I decided I'm going to start with 1998 WCW. Why? 98, year I graduated from high school. Also, first year I went to college. It was a very interesting time. Monday Night Wars were, to me, at their all-time peak. I think both shows had really hit their stride and both figured out what they were doing and the direction they were going in. I start from the start of 98 because that's when NWO starts to have little riffs. Also, the WCW roster is absolutely loaded in 98, right? Because you still got the cruiserweights on the undercard who not getting the shine that they should. Benoit is there still. Funny thing watching the show is that you see some people that you didn't know were there. I didn't know Marty Jannetty was in WCW in 1998. I didn't know Rick Martel had a late game run in WCW in 1998. It was weird watching the Steiners being managed by Ted DiBiase, which I knew. You also start to see the turn when Scott Steiner, before he fully turns the Big Papa Pump, before the hair goes blonde, when him and Rick start to have their dissension, before Scott goes to the NWO. All of that is in there. Good stuff to watch. The different factions, because NWO was a thing and it's trying to run its own company. WCW is standing strong. Raven's Flock is actually considered its own offshoot. and it's not really affiliated with WCW or the NWO. It's kind of just like this own thing as he's trying to build, and they have some very solid guys. You go through Raven's Flock, it's him, Kidman, who I think is kind of underrated, and then kind of gets overutilized later on at WCW because that's how WCW was ran. Perry Saturn, Canyon isn't involved with them yet, but I mean it's a lot of things going on. I think they misuse Raven. I think Raven. I thought ECW set up a template for Raven that they should have followed a little better, but neither here nor there. Thought it was good. Like I said, so far so good. I've been like January of '98 and just watched the first couple episodes. I will probably watch the upcoming pay-per-view, and that's what I'm going to do. Like, I will watch Nitro, and then I'll watch the subsequent pay-per-views that go along with the months of Nitro that I'm watching, and I might even write up something on the Raytime Pro Wrestling website. So that's kind of like my little project of what I'm doing. WWE has so much content. Like, they got almost all the Nitros, right? They got a lot of the Attitude Era Raw up now. And they haven't even begun. I'm telling you, when they start putting up the AWA library, like they got like about 5 episodes. Really, it's just like Shawn Michaels stuff and some Scott Hall stuff. Guys who went to the Hall of Fame recently, they put up their stuff. But man, there's so much to those libraries, and I hope they, start expanding on them more. Other than that, G1 is announced. G1 Climax 26, and it will kick off July 18th. July is going to be a huge month, man. If you got G1 kicking off the same month as the Cruiserweight Classic, that's a lot of white wrestling to watch. But that's what we're here for, and it is going to be awesome. I'm going to go down this year's G1 lineup and who's in what brackets. Block A, Bad Luck Fale, Hiroki Goto, Tomohiro Ishii, Makabe is in this bracket. Okada and Tanahashi are both on the same block. They're both in Block A, and Tama Tonga is in that block. Now, really, I don't think it's really that big of a deal because I don't think Okada probably won't win the block. He's world champ. World champ rarely ever wins these things because, of course, this is kind of set up. This is almost like their Royal Rumble. Because whoever wins this is going to probably face the champ at Wrestle Kingdom at the end of the year. It's funny, too, how they book these things. They set them up. Because this is going to last about 2 months. And then you go ride about 5 or 6 months till you get to the big event in January. But they seem to sell it. So, last year, who was it? Tanahashi. He won. He beat Sensei Nakamura in a great match in the finals. If you get a chance, you should watch that. So this year, it's going to come around, and it'd be interesting to see who comes out of Block A. What I would think is that Okada still is going to carry the belt, and Block B is going to be the one. To me, it's the most competitive block. It's probably going to produce the winner of this tournament and probably set you up for the big match at Wrestle Kingdom. Listen to Block B. You got Michael Elgin. You got Evil. You got Naito, who just lost the world title back to Okada. Nakajima. You got Yuji Nagata. Kenny Omega, who I would keep an eye on because I think Kenny Omega is pretty much the breakout star that's coming down the pike, as an American star. Which also, the WWE may have their eyes on Kenny Omega. They may not be talking about it, but I would think that they have their eyes on Kenny Omega also. Shibata is in this bracket, and I think he's been making waves. So, and it fits with Yoshihashi and Yano. So, yeah, Block B is the block, right? I think that is the one that's going to produce the winner of the tournament and the guy who comes out. A lot of matches. They have the round robin style. The points accumulate. this is going to be a very interesting G1. With that being said, also the Cruiserweight Classic kicks off. 32 guys. I'm very interested to see how it works out. If Morrow and Daniel Bryan are going to be the commentators. I know Daniel Bryan is on the commentary team, and it seems like it's just going to be him and Morrow Ronaldo. That is going to be one hell of a thing to watch. Because I think Daniel will be able to keep pace, and Morrow is the consummate professional. So, yeah, can't wait for that. July is going to be freaking huge. Like, this week was probably the first and last week that you'll have where it's kind of quiet, which is not even July yet. July 1st is today. So, just understand, after this, it gets rocking and rolling. And we will be here for all of it. We'll probably drop another show next week. Maybe another show might come out Monday or something with Keisha so she can get y'all caught up on what she's doing. And with that, we are done. Peace.